Hello, so I've got a bit of a treat for you today. I'm going to be looking at the Warhammer Armies Undead book. This book is from 4th edition Warhammer Fantasy Battle. This particular book is from 1994. Yeah, there you go, 1994. And I was 17 years old when this first came out. Yes, I am that old. But as an extra treat, I do have the very same book, but this is the reprint from 1998, which actually I only learnt about recently. I had no idea that this book existed. It was a bit of a transitional book from 4th edition to 5th edition, I believe, which is probably why I didn't hear about it. There's not much difference really. It's a bit of an anomaly because I don't think this happened with any of the other books. But essentially, I think what it was is there was an expansion called the Circle of Blood at the time. And this book was released after that campaign expansion and included some of the characters from that expansion. So, bit of a treat. Let's have a look and see what the differences are. So, we will go through this page by page and have a look. So, as you can see, pretty similar when you start. Any differences here are in the dates. So 1994 versus reprinted with corrections in 97, 2nd edition, 1998. ISBN number there. ISBN there, so just for reference. Like I said, there's not many difference. So the one at the bottom is the 98 version. Let's have a look at the contents. Now, there's a couple of differences here, but not many. The notable differences are with the magic section. So if you see here, undead magic, you got necromantic spell cards, necromancers, necromantic magic, necromantic spell commentaries. And then with this version, you've got Warhammer magic, necromancy, necromantic magic. So the differences is actually the later version doesn't include the spell cards, but it does include some spell summaries with a couple of corrections or clarifications, I should say. Also in the 94 version, you've got the special characters up into Dieter Elsnick, so from Nagash to Dieter. And then with the 98 version, you've got Nagash, and including 3 new characters, which were from the Circle of Blood: the Banshee, Dark Knight, and the Red Duke. So interesting stuff. Hopefully some of you wouldn't have known about the existence of this book, because I sure didn't. So all of these pages are the same in both. The lovely black and white maps of the old world, or the undead history, and this great picture of the Gash, Lord of the Undead. Now, it's quite funny because when in the 94 version, we never seen the model of Nagash when this book came out, and when they released the infamous smiley skull-faced Nagash, I think most of us were a little bit disappointed, because you can see how magnificent he looked in this image illustration. So let's just keep going through here. So like I said, all the history section background is the same. Incredible illustration of a white there. And all of the sections up into the heavy metal sections. So You've just got the Undead Banners page still. So that is page... what is this? So 32. So page 32 of the 94 version. Now let's have a look at the 98 version. So a sneak peek there. You can see that banner page, identical, with the great banners you can cut out, colour yourself or photocopy. In 94 version, you've got the brilliant, vibrant, colourful undead units. The skeleton's very bright white there, and then you've got the vibrant colours of the whites, and then the very colourful zombie unit. Great stuff. Absolutely loved the vibrant colours used in the Undead Army in that era. In it kind of going into 5th, there was a slightly different painting style used in by the GW heavy metal painters, but which went towards a sort of darker scheme, which you'll see in a minute, actually. But look at this. These wonderful images are gone, and we've got this map, Land of the Dead, which is great because it highlights some of the key locations, such as Kemri there, the Black Tower, Numus, Qatar, and then all of the mountainous regions. And then these little summaries: Kemri is the birthplace of Nagash, blah blah blah. Desolation of Nagash is a parched desert littered with the wind-polished bones of forgotten army that fell in battle against Nagash centuries ago. So great stuff here. A little bit of flavour text. Sour Sea is a foul bay of polluted water which runs into the bitter sea. So you can see there the Sour Sea, Desolation of Nagash, and Nagashazar, below which lies the Cursed Pit. Nagashazar, also known as the Cursed Pit, is the home of Nagash, the Lord of Death, carved out from the living rock of Cripple Peak. Each of its 4 giant gates is guarded by the deadliest of war machines. Deep in the bowels of the city is the throne room of Nagash, where the supreme necromancer plots his conquest of the world. Fantastic stuff. So here we go. Some of you who own this book will be familiar with these images. The wraiths, of course, top there. The white on horseback, and another one there. I think, well, these were definitely used as whites, whether they were supposed to be. I think they were supposed to be mounted. Well, actually, it says skeleton horseman there, doesn't it? There you go. That's a bit of a giveaway. But I always used to use them as whites. And they were pretty brilliant models, well suited for it. You've got the Undead Chariot, the Wraith Lord, which I remember wishing there was actually a Wraith Lord as a hero, which would have been brilliant, but they never actually had a Wraith Lord in the character section. Here we've got the Force of the Undead confront the High Elves with all the brilliant, vibrant schemes, including Dieter Helsnick there, Mounter on his Manticore, and some of the old classic Necromancer horseman models. Great stuff. So if we turn the pages here in the 98 version, what we do have is how to paint a skeleton regiment. Look at this. This is fantastic. And I might even give this a go. Essentially based more white. I think most of us painted this way to some extent. And this is the absolutely brilliant old school plastic skeletons. Look at that guy at the front there, all armoured, ready for battle. It's basically giving you like instructions on, base coating, washing, and painting over the base, and then building up your colours until you finally get a brilliant looking unit. But look at the subdued tones used, apart from the vibrant white on the bones, in comparison to this skeleton unit. Look at this, fantastic. But gone are all the reds and crazy yellows in favour of this black scheme, which is great uniformed, but I don't know. They both have their charm. Here's a nice close up of that, of the skeletons, and you can see the difference in the white there, the musician, and the standard bearer, in comparison to the reds and blues used here. Both brilliant in their own right, and you've got the goblin green bases still hanging around here in 4th edition, and then the transition to the earthy and flock covered bases used here in the transitional book between 4th and 5th. And then the wraiths, look at these, how different they are. They're painted black, as opposed to the brilliant, vibrant greens, purples, and there is actually a black wraith there with a yellow trim. But yeah, I suppose it's personal preference as to which one you prefer. But here we go. So new models crept in at this stage, and they're showcasing them here. So the Banshee, for one, and Bat Swarm here, and then some mounted whites. There we go. Gone are the skeleton horsemen used as whites. We've actually got these brilliant mounted whites, which were fantastic, actually. I don't actually remember owning a full unit of these because they were actually pretty expensive, I believe, at the time. Anyway, let's have a look. Let's move on. One of my favourite characters, Arkham the Black, with his fantastic banner and flying chariot, which was the absolutely insane special character who could just destroy regiments on his own, and just fantastic model in its own right, to be honest. I think I've still got him tucked away, but minus a sword and a staff somewhere. But I really do want to get him again at some point. Look at these brilliant whites with their vibrantly painted shields with fantastic illustrations, and then all the command unit models here. Now, if we have a look in the 98 version, on the same page, we've got the ghosts all lined up there. Look how interesting they are. And here we go, Screaming Skull Cap. I used to love these. They were fantastic war machines. And then we've got a chariot here, all painted in these paler tones, I suppose, with the black accented clothing, which actually works quite well, doesn't it? The uniform in the army. And interestingly, these carrion here, I don't know if there's a picture of the carrion in the other book. I'll have a look in a minute. But these carrion, they've trimmed the bases down. I don't know whether these were new flying bases or they've just trimmed them down, but they've got them lower to the ground. And actually, that I don't know if you can see that, but this guy looks like he's had his scythe moved slightly. But these heads on these carrion, I love these ones. I don't actually own these, but I'd love to get some. And they've actually bent the wings down just to make them look like they're flying, which is great. This white model wasn't in the original 4th edition book. He came along later, and I think actually he might be the model that they use as the special character. Yeah, I think that's right. The Dark Knight. It says below White Lord mounted on skeleton steed, but I think he was used as the Dark Knight. And then we've got the mounted Vampire Lord, who was the Red Duke, and they've got rules for him in this version of the book. And a brilliantly subdued zombie unit in massive contrast to the previous zombie unit, which is brilliantly but brightly coloured. And this one's lovely and subdued. But great stuff on both accounts. Okay, so let's move forwards. So we've seen Archon, and then we've got a page full of characters. The great Vampire Lord model, I love that model. Necromancer, whites, several whites, and some zombies. Then the mummy units, which were one of my favourites. It was just absolutely brilliant. Ludicrously powerful, like 4 wounds, strength 4, toughness 5. They were great. And then this brilliantly painted army here. What a fantastic looking army that is. So let's move on here, and then you get this really nice, like this battlefield setting, I suppose. But look how brilliant it looks. The army looks very uniformed in its black and white colours versus a very dark, sombre looking Chaos army, which is fantastic too. Now, here we go. Here's our boy. Now, so the heavy metal section ends here in the 94 version, and then you get all the spell cards, which was great because when they released Battle Magic, I think it was, I might be wrong on that one, but no, it was when they released Battle Magic we got the Necromancy cards, because initially, hang on, I'm definitely getting this wrong. I think it was Battle Magic. Maybe they had the Dark Magic and Necromantic Magic. No, I have got that wrong. I think it was maybe in the Warhammer box itself, you got the basic Dark Magic set with a couple of Necromancy spells. That was it. And then with this book, they gave you a full Necromantic deck. In the 98 version, we get some more heavy metal pages. So Vlad Isabella, painted up to be quite dark in the colour scheme. It looks really nice, actually. I was always a bit of a fan of these models. A lot of people weren't. A lot of people didn't really like the Vlad, but it looks pretty nice there. The Bat Swarm and a lovely zombie dragon. Look at this guy. He's brilliant. We've got the man Heinrich Kemmler, who was in most of my games back in the early 90s for sure. He was fantastic. Pretty much a Necromancer Lord, but cheaper. Didn't really make much sense. Nagash, Supreme Lord of the Undead. Look how cheesy he looks. But still, we've got to love him. Dieter Hausnick, fantastic. Doom Lord himself. And then this dude, he made an appearance in the Circle of Blood, after the Circle of Blood release, I believe. Now he features in this 98 version, which he wasn't in the 94 version. Okay, so there's Dieter there. And here's more of the spells. And, here we go. So we do get another page. Look at this ghost here, nice and blue, as opposed to the white in the 98 version. You've got some ghouls and got some wraiths and a zombie there. And then it's into Revenge of the Doom Lord. So that whole middle section had changed in this version. And we get this brilliant image here of some Bretonnians fighting an undead force. Interestingly, they've used some of the older painted zombies there and a nice colourful unit of ghouls. A nice unit of mummies. But yeah, you can tell, I guess it was later in 4th edition because the Bretonnians are here. Revenge of the Doom Lord. Brilliant scenario. And this is the same in both books, it hasn't changed. And then the army composition pages, which are the same in both, I believe. Yeah, so reinforcements, winning the game, fighting the battle, blah, blah, blah. Under Battle Tactics by Jervis Johnson, which is the same in both books. Brilliant Undead roster sheet for the Revenge of the Doomlord battle. I really want to make this army one day, and perhaps I will. And then with that, you get the Empire roster sheet with a Kislev contingent, and various other units. I believe in this game there was like a side table where some undead cavalry would encounter the Kislev cavalry, and then they had to try and meet up at some point. So if we just go into the undead bestiary. Here we go. So these are the same in both books. So I don't think anything's changed here as such. So we just skip through necromancers, vampires, skeleton steeds, the carrion, the ghouls, wraiths, ghosts and wights. None of that has changed at all. The zombie dragon, and then lovely story, under chariot, screaming skull, catapult. And then this section is actually different. So page 72 and 73. Let's have a look. Bear with. Here we go. So undead magic. But the differences are here. You have so this basically lays out the necromancy rules. And here you go. Actually, what I was talking about earlier, the following rules replace the rules for undead magic printed in the Warhammer Battle Magic rule book. Okay, so maybe it was Battle Magic. Make sure you read the following new rules very carefully, especially if you have used undead magic rules in any games. I suppose by this point, Battle Magic was pretty established, so it kind of just goes straight into undead use two special kinds of magic, dark magic and necromantic. They can also use common battle magic should you wish. And then it goes into saying about how powerful dark magic is, and necromantic's unique to the undead. The following spells and commentaries from Warhammer Magic. This saves players swapping between the two books and is provided purely for convenience. The rules and commentaries are the same. Okay. So you got this list for the necromancer levels there, and in this book it is still there, but it's in a different location. It's actually on page 73 here. As you can see, it's pretty much the same, just laid out slightly differently. A recasting of spells, which was a powerful trait of necromancy, actually, being able to recast spells. And actually being able to choose your spells as well made necromancers some of the best wizards in the game. This is quite a nice touch though, because in the 94 version, you had these sort of spell summaries, and but there wasn't any. It didn't give you the power or range or anything like that. It's just basically a summary because they gave you the cards. In the 98 version, they did give you quite a nice summary with some notes against some of the spells, like Drain Life, for example, where it says, models are affected individually. Characters who with units cannot exploit the Lookout Sir rule to avoid the effect, which is quite nice little commentaries like that. So you've got Gaze in the Gash, Hand of Dust, Dark Mist, Razor Dead, Summon Skeleton, Summon Undead Horde. Gives you the ranges and powers. Cursey is with a comment here saying, this is yet another spell which affects a unit but where a character must also test and cannot use a lookout sir roll. In the case of monsters and riders, chariots, and other composite models, roll once for the entire model. The entire model is destroyed or not. Bear in mind, the spell kills its victims outright. No wounds are inflicted, and so no wounds can be saved by armor or wards. Such a powerful spell, Curse of Years. A comment on Wind of Death here. Spell affects models falling beneath the template as it moves in the same way as Vermintide. Arnazapal's Black Coral, etc. This spell requires the use of 10-sided dice or D10. If you don't have a D10, roll a D6. 1 to 3 is low, 4 to 6 is high. Roll further D6. For low scores, reroll 6s. For high scores, add +5 and reroll 6s. Yep. There's a Necromancer, same in both. And then we've got a story about Kemler, and then the army list, which I don't think has changed. Pretty sure it's the same. Let's have a look. Yeah. So it's just highlighting number of magic items for characters, the same in both books. And then summaries on limitations, armor, special characters, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, the equipment list here is the same, so this is all the same. And then the character, and then the points and stats of various characters. This is the same, so nothing's changed here. Okay, so special characters on page 88. If we skip ahead in both books. Now these are identical. So Nagash, with that brilliant illustration again, showing that which magic items he comes with and his stats. That's the same in both books. And he was quite a formidable piece, even back then in 4th edition. Fantastic illustration of a vampire lord there. So we've got Isabella, we've got Manfred, we've got Heinrich Kemmler, we've got Archon the Black, we've got Krell, Lord of the Undead, Cetra, Tomb King of Kemri, Dieter Helsnick, Doom Lord of Middenheim, and then we've got a load of magic items. So that's where the difference is in this book, I believe. So we've got Archon, we've got Dieter Helsnick, and then instead of the magic items on page 98, so we've got these magic items here, which you get in the I want to say is battle magic. You get these magic items that may well have been in arcane magic. I can't remember off the top of my head. But here we go. So you get these extra characters. The Banshee, 155 points, which seems a lot, doesn't it? So the Banshee is a powerful wraith, an evil creature that has plagued the lands of Bretonnia for untold centuries. Her mere presence strikes terror into the hearts of all mortals who dare to face her, and her wailing cry brings only death and despair to those who hear it. When the Red Duke rose for the first time, the winds of dark magic lured the Banshee into the service of the Vampire Lord. This is great because it gives you the opportunity to use a Banshee in 4th edition, which you wouldn't have had previous to this. So you could just take the special character, maybe even develop your own character based on it. You can see the Banshee uses a sword and doesn't have a save. But being a Banshee is a wraith. So all the special rules to race apply to her. She's got a ghostly howl to roll on this table. She can fly. What's her move? 6. Okay, but she's got the fly rule, which is great. Cast magic. Banshee is a unique ability to cast spells. She does this in the same way as a level 1 necromancer, as detailed in Warhammer Magic. She uses necromantic magic. Actually, fantastic. So the Whale of the Banshee, roll d6. The wailing disrupts the winds of magic, ending the current magic phase. One enemy regiment within 12 inches chosen by the undead player must make a leadership test. If they fail, then they are frozen to the spot and can do nothing at all during their next turn. Well, that's amazing. The piercing shriek causes d6 strength 4 hits on one enemy regiment within 12 inches. The undead player may choose the regiment. There's no armor save. The Howl of the Banshee invigorates the undead and has the same effect as Van Haal's Dance Macabre. Choose one regiment within 12. Any living creature within 3d6 must make a panic test as if charged by a fear-causing monster. The Banshee's terrifying wail causes living creatures to age and crumble to dust within moments. Pick one enemy regiment within 12 and roll d6 for each model. On a roll of 5 plus, the model suffers 1 wound. There's no armor save. So that's a bit like Curse of Years. She seems pretty good, actually, but how long does she last? Strength, toughness 4, initiative 4, 2 attacks. I suppose if you put her in a regiment, she might be okay. Pretty strong. And then we've got the Dark Knight, 175 points. Lord Falk of Castle Reese's was once a powerful knight in the service of the Bretonnian King Louis. Dark Knight has move 4, web skill 6, strength 4, toughness 5, 3 wounds, initiative 4, 3 attacks. So that's pretty good. Hand weapon, skeleton steed, shield, heavy armor, 2 plus save. Yeah, very good. Trying to think what that stat line is. Is that a vampire stat line? Or is that a white lord stat line? It's kind of a... Let's have a look. So all these ghosts. So what was it? Web skill 6, wasn't it? So I guess it's a unique stat line. Yeah, it doesn't really follow accounts as such. So pretty cool. And then we've got the Red Duke. Oh no, the Dark Knight's got some special rules. The Ghost Blade. So basically, kind of like a white blade. Causes D3 wounds and ignores armor. Wow, that's really good. Ignore normal armor. Magical armor saves is normal, fine. Lord of the Dead. Capture the undead host. He allows any unit he is with to make march moves. That's really good. And declare charge reactions. Is much more powerful than most of the whites that plague the world. He feeds on the essence of living. And to represent this, each time the Dark Knight causes a wound, he's allowed to make an extra attack. Oh, that's cool. And Holy Pride, really arrogant bloke. As overwhelming sense of pride, plus the fact that he is a champion of the Red Duke, means that he will always readily accept any challenge issued to him. That could be his downfall, I suppose. The Dark Knight is a white, and all the special rules for whites apply. So he's decent. He is decent. And then the Red Duke, who is a massive 460 points. Once the most loyal and dedicated knights of Bretonnia, he succumbed to the curse of vampirism during the Crusades of Araby. Fantastic. So he is Vampire Lord stats by the look of it. Pretty, identical. Yeah, I think so. Maybe that initiative's different, but no, I think that's probably right. So Vampire Lord. Yeah, so he is Vampire Lord stats. So he has a sword, heavy armor, and barded skeleton steed. Brilliant. 3 plus save. That's great. Blade of Leaping Gold, so that's an extra 3 attacks, is it? 3 additional attacks, yeah, so great. So this guy has 7 attacks. So he's a vampire, so he's got the vampire rules. He's got the Armor of Blood, which is 5+ save. And doesn't inhibit his ability to cast spells, which is great. He's pretty powerful. Because that's the downside of a lot of vampires, actually. So they can't wear armor, I think. Yeah, good stuff. And then the end of the book is the same, I believe. So in this one we have, it just goes into the sort of model section, showing all the various models you can buy. Interestingly, I don't think it includes the Red Duke or any of the newer models. It's all of the old stuff. I say old, it's all old now, isn't it? But this is interesting. If we go to the back of the book, and we look at 94, we have the Warhammer box set, Battle Magic, and then the Armies books, which are limited to Skaven, Dwarfs, Empire, Orcs, High Elves at the time. And then we look here in the 98 version, how it expanded. So, interestingly, High Elves, that looks different to this one, doesn't it? I don't know what had changed at that point, whether they got actually an early 5th edition book or what that was. Orcs and Goblins is the same. Wood Elves, the Undead. Dark House. I do own this book, actually. They were one of my other favourite armies at the time. Bretonia, Empire, Lizardmen, Skaven, Dwarfs, and then the Realm of Chaos, and Champions of Chaos. Great stuff. And that's it. Hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it relatively interesting. I certainly found it interesting to find that there was another version of the Undead book, but yeah, there you go. Thanks for watching. Cheers.